Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Ermah binti Abdul Nasir and my metric number is 264-838. So today I'm with my fellow members from Group 7. We'll be presenting about the application of ABC in service industry. And as for me, I will touch about the application of ABC in healthcare service. So before ABC being introduced, healthcare center and hospital use the health maintenance organization concept in calculating their costs, which is by lowering the cost of capitation. Capitation is a payment of fee to the service providers, which is in this context is doctors and nurses, that is determined by the number of patients. However, this concept resulted in quality being sacrificed for cost, and due to the lack of choice and access, the health maintenance organization concept is ultimately rejected. But after ABC is developed and used in the industry, it shows a remarkable success in improving efficiency and control costs. This is due to the distinct feature of ABC, which is the ability to diagnose exact costs and to present non-financial costs. And it also has the ability to diagnose and decrease the organizational unused resources. Its application has been considered in other parts, especially in healthcare center and hospitals since 1990s. And next is the application of ABC in healthcare service. Okay, the first step is developing an activity map. Activity map outline the sequence of activity that are involved in the performance of a procedure. Figure shown in the slide is an example of an activity developed for an endoscopic procedure. Endoscopic procedure is a procedure of one of the unit in hospital unit. So the activity involved are referral and scheduling, processing, procedure, recovery, scope cleaning, and billing. And the second step is activity analysis. Activi- activity analysis is performed to identify the resources used for each activity and then which cost pool are drawn from each resources. As the figure shown in the slide, all the activity have been identified with their respective resources. So, as you can see, referral and scheduling resources is receptionist and scheduler. Processing resource is nursing and procedural. Procedure resource is nurse, tech, medications, and disposables. And for recovery resource is nurse, educational material, food service. Scope cleaning resource is tech and materials. And lastly, billing resource is billers, and IT system. And after identifying the resource utilized, you must assign each resource to a cost category, which is labor, material, and, and general overhead. So this category will then be assigned further to either direct or indirect cost categories. The direct costs are those that are directly related to the performance of service, for example, nursing. And as opposed to indirect costs is accounting, which is have to be allocated to multiple services. And next is determine the cost drivers for each resource and the number of resources utilized. The annual quantity of the cost driver is estimated according to the nature of the cost drivers. So for example, employee cost drivers is time and material cost driver is number of items. And after that, we can then calculate the cost allocation rate by the quotient of annual cost of a resource and the number of time the resource is used over the time period. The cost allocation rate can accurately determine the allocated activity cost by multiplying the cost allocation rate by the actual quantity of allocation base for that activity. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and a very good day to Doctor and friends. My name is Nur Shamimi binti Razali. My metric number is 280425. Now I would like to continue this presentation with application of ABC to education system industry. Educational services sector comprises establishments that provide instruction and training in a wide variety of subjects. The instruction and training is provided by specialized establishments such as schools, colleges, universities, and training centers. Coming to the first subtopic that I would like to present is comparison of traditional costing and ABC in education system industry. Traditional costing. Traditional costing managed through budgetary control of responsibility centers, which is lacking true cost data information. It requires each department head to forecast numbers in the preset budget. The preset budget only outlines departments' direct traceable costs such as salary and wages expenses and printing and stationery. Other indirect costs of university which are fixed in nature, for instance, depreciation expenses and supplies, are not shown in the budget. Neither are they absorbed into department budgets. Next, for ABC, expenses and costs are classified as expense for a product or services. The period expenses are expenses that were spent during period they incurred. The expenses for a product or services is further classified as direct and indirect expenses, which are allocated to products using the chosen basis. For example, working time. Expenses in an education institution can be classified as tuition fees. Expenses that are directly or indirectly related to tuition and non-tuition expenses are distributed on a chosen basis. For example, the number of students or the number of hours. Next, the ABC method associates resources with objects through two stages. At first stage, resources are distributed into two groups. The first group is a group of expenses by activity, which cost pool by activity. The second group is resources drivers, which various factors that determine where resources will be allocated. For example, a square meter of office space or the number of students. In the second stage of the ABC method, the expenses collected in the cost pool are allocated to the cost objects. Figure 1 below shows ABC model for determining the cost of a year of education in an education system, in an education institution. Tasks that solved by using ABC method. ABC aims to find the value of the cost object. For example, the cost of providing one course. If the expenses for an individual course is a cost object, the cost unit is the cost per student. Next, determining the result. Courses and programs are examples of outcomes of teaching in higher education. Next, identification of activities. For example, activities necessary to achieve a result. Lastly, allocation of resources and cost pooling, which cost of resources are distributed among cost pools basing on direct or indirect expense. That's all from me. Thank you very much.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nura Atika Binti Alias and my metric number 2C3045. Okay, I will present the application of ABC in the restaurant service. Okay, firstly it is about the traditional with the ABC. For first one is the traditional costing. Traditional costing is overhead costs that operating expenses were usually exclude and price where function and food cost, as well as customer demand, historical price, and other factors. For the ABC can we can say the estimated cost drive to allocate operating cost to the menu items, and thus attempting to the more accurate cost estimation in the restaurant industry. ABC system has the ability to trace overhead costs individual products units. Okay, from the model ABC model that we can see the general ledger. The label in the cost pool will included all salaries, overtime paid, and wages for the help or the employers. For the utility, the cost pool containing gas and power expenses, facility sustaining cost pool, including direct operating costs, repair and maintenance, accounting, and general and administration expenses. And for the unit level, we can say that unit-based cost drivers, the number of employee hours and unit of utilities used. Batch cost driver incorporate everything that is the produced in the batch, such as setting up the kitchen line or purchasing inventories. For the product level drivers, signify the resources used by produce level activity that are performed to sustain product in the company's product line. In a restaurant, some example of product level activity include establishing and maintaining specifications, recipe testing, and expediting food production. For facility sustaining cost driver, that is the addition into the menu cost. That is the category content cost that sustain a company general process. Okay, for the ABC process, the first stage involves the splitting of costs into homogeneous cost pools. Homogeneous cost pools are collecting of overhead costs, for which cost variations can be explained by the one cost drivers. The first stage involves separating overhead costs into homogeneous cost pools. Homogeneous cost pools are the collecting of overhead costs for the cost variation can be explained by one cost drivers. And estimate effort expended on each activity and that share a common purpose. The second stage of the ABC is process establish second stage cost driver by driving each activities. The activity center into the activity cost driver pools. This story has only one activity center, which was divided into the different level of activity. ABC cost words conclude for the each menu item and word concept as base of activity. Activity like service customers, cleaning, preparing, and cooking, and also the administrating. Operating profit were calculated for each menu item. A completed base of activities become a powerful tools for analyze subsequent action by the restaurant managers. For the ABC menu engineering, can be the analyze property of the menu item to manage to produce more the foods that have the high properties to gain more profit. Managerial implication. ABC method can be successfully combined with the traditional ME approach to help restaurant managers understand the true cost structure and profitability of their menus.
I'm E0 metric number 2799485, and I'll be talking about the applications of ABC to logistics services. Logistics is a process of how resources are acquired, stored, and also transported. Logistics mainly provides services such as warehousing to store resources or products, and also transportation of products or resources. Logistics is a very important aspect in the supply chain where they are responsible to transport or distribute resources to manufacturers and also products or resources to the sellers or traders, and now even more widely used in the e-commerce where they transport or ship products to the end users or customers. Many companies still use traditional costing method to know their logistics service costs. In the traditional costing method, logistics services were included in part of sales or general and administrative expenses. They were allocated by direct labor hours, parcel per case shipped, or percentage of sales. In low level of management where little attention was given to logistics service cost, they have no knowledge of the characteristics and also the cost of their distribution. They do not have sufficient insights of the characteristics of their distribution of the products and also the distribution cost. Due to the increasing importance of distribution cost with the high percentage of 7 to 30% of sales, many companies decided to change from traditional costing method to ABC method to acquire more accurate and detailed data of their distribution costs. In ABC method, costs are allocated according to the activities such as warehousing and also transportation. Through ABC method, companies are able to identify redundant activities, excessive uses of resources, and also an analysis of alternative channel structure, besides providing a clear picture of where resources are used, where customer value are created, and also if money is being made or lost. ABC method provides a detailed and accurate data, helping managers to make better decisions with them. Through ABC method, companies are able to know if their distribution costs are too high or low. When companies realize that distribution costs are too high, one of the very common decisions made are to outsource the distribution of products and resources to a shipping company to reduce their distribution cost. This means that the company will hire a third-party shipping company to handle the distribution and transportation of their products and resources, rather than having to keep a distribution team even though they are rarely used. There are many different activities and also cost drivers that a company can choose from based on their own needs. The set of primary activities is to be identified on the basis of a company's operational structure. One of the very common activities is sales, which includes market research, customer relation, management, and also billing. The resources of sales activities are the sales liaison employed and also the computer interface used. The sales liaison employed are to expedite highly preferential customers. The cost driver of sales activity is working hour per day of the sales liaison. Next is warehousing activities, which is needed to store resources and also products of the companies. The resources are normally shelves or a space that is needed to store the products and resources, and also the employees that are employed to handle the inventories. The activity driver of warehousing is square meter per day, which means how big the space is used to store the products and resources. Lastly, we have shipping activity, which is used to transport and distribute the products and resources. Products are shipped using vehicles or trucks, and there are also drivers employed to drive them. As a conclusion, the application of ABC method to logistics service is very much recommended as it provides accurate and detailed data. But it is very complex. Hence, a lot of the companies are unwilling to change from traditional costing method to ABC method as it requires high cost and skills due to its complexity. Larger logistics firms are able to incorporate them, while smaller firms are unable to do so due to lack of model. From a study, it states that the more unconventional a logistics service, the higher difference can be expected between different cost values. The traditional costing method systematically overestimates the cost of logistics service with less effort and underestimates cost of logistics service with higher performance. The separation of variable indirect costs is highly recommended due to the highly heterogeneous logistics service. Lastly, ABC method are able to deliver an analysis of the efficiency of service generators. That's all from me. Thank you.
Good morning, doctor. My name is Ko Chamin. Metric number is 278300. Now, I'm going to present about application of ABC to financial service. ABC means a cost-cutting and cost control strategy that produces high-quality products. The literature of ABC concentrates mainly on its manufacturing settings because it has been so effective in that environment. For example, implementing an activity-based costing system to bank. There are 5 steps when evaluating the cost of bank loans. First, identify cost activities. Meeting with customers, analyzing clients' application, and reviewing credit reports are all part of the processing loans. The second step is assign overhead costs to the activities identified in step 1. Wages of individuals reviewing applications, depreciation of office equipment used to evaluate online applications, and supplies required for the review process are all overhead costs assigned to the activity. The third step is identify the cost driver for each activity. For the activity 1, like meeting with customers, its cost driver is hours of meeting time. The second activity is analyzing clients' application. Its cost driver is number of applications analyzed. The third activity is reviewing credit reports. Its cost driver is number of credit reports run. The fourth step is calculate a predetermined overhead rate for each activity. Predetermined overhead rate can be calculated by dividing estimated overhead costs by the cost driver for each activity. For example, the activity meeting with customers. This calculation results in a rate per hour meeting time. The last step is allocate overhead costs to products. Overhead cost is allocated to products based on the use of each activity cost drivers. Conclusion: with this example, we can understand that activity-based costing also can be used in service industry, such as financial service, to determine the cost of loan products at a financial institution. Next, it also provides us the means to understanding behavior within a company and explain how to handle all these costs effectively. One's organization can maintain this ABC system as it is beneficial for collecting accurate data for various decisions within the financial service industry. That's all from me. Thank you.